Happy Tuesday, January 19th, 2022. How are you? This is Renee and this is United Spirits Village. The fit word of the day is compassion. Compassion. What is compassion? When is it needed? When do you use compassion? Was there a time that you needed someone's compassion and didn't receive it? Was there a time you didn't offer someone compassion? Compassion to me is an inner feeling of acceptance and gentleness, understanding that is offered. It can be offered to another person and it can be offered to oneself. I can be compassionate toward myself. I can be compassionate toward other people. Compassion is activated, I feel, by the individual, when an individual loves herself, loves himself. Compassion is activated when an individual can relate to and see others as a reflection of themselves. I feel like compassion also is affected by how one accepts themselves and how one loves themselves. If one judges herself or not, can affect how compassion shows up. Why do individuals deserve compassion? Do you have compassion for yourself? Why or why not? I feel like I have been pretty hard on people, and judgmental at times and impatient too. And when I look at that, and by being judgmental and hard and impatient, I'm pretty sure I didn't show up as the most compassionate individual. And when I look at why was I hard or on someone or impatient, it really had to do with me being hard and impatient and judgmental on myself. I have held myself to a high standard that I haven't always met. I actually probably never meet my standards for myself. And why am I so hard on myself? Why don't I accept and love myself? I am further investigating the cause of that hardness on myself. And so if you think about it, if I'm not gentle or loving or understanding toward myself, it's very, very challenging to really show up to someone else compassionately, especially when they need it. So I definitely have been working over that over the years, especially as an older, wiser woman. I'm proud of myself. Be proud of yourself too. In your quiet space, your inner space, check in and see how you show up for people. Are you more gentle and loving and warm? And now I'm not saying, not to let people walk all over you and take kindness for weakness and things like that. I'm just saying when someone needs a loving touch or encouraging words, how do you show up? I'd like to know. Please let me know in the chat. So I want to ask you at this time to please close your eyes. First, find your comfy space. Maybe you're laying down, maybe you're in a chair, in a couch, sitting with your legs crossed or firmly planted on the floor. If you're able to, hold your palms up to be receptive. Be still. Take some deep, deep breaths. Breathe slowly in your nose and slowly out through your mouth. There is no rush. Just be aware of your breath, your magnificent life-giving breath. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you breathe in, you take that cleansing breath in. Your abdomen should expand. Your lungs fill with air. And when you let it out through your mouth, everything deflates. All the air is squeezed out. And you're giving back to the environment. With your eyes closed, be still and listen. Listen to your heart. Put your hand on your heart. Do you feel it beating? I feel my heart beating in my neck. It's strong and steady. I'm so grateful for my heart. I love my heart. Now say to yourself in your mind or even out loud, I love you, whatever your name is. So in my case, my hand's on my heart and I say, I love you, Renee. I love you. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. You are a magnificent miracle here, showing up on earth to do divine work, to perform a purpose. You may know what it is, or maybe you don't. In this moment, you'll get closer to your purpose and divine knowing by simply loving yourself. Hand on your heart. Breathe in and out and say, I love you. Now say, I am compassionate. I am a compassionate person. I am a compassionate being. I show up in this world loving. I show up in this world gentle. I forgive myself. I open the gateway to be more loving, gentle, and understanding towards myself. I open the gateway to be more loving, gentle, and understanding towards others. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Say a silent word of gratitude just for being here, for showing up. And when you're ready, open your eyes. It's important to love yourself. Have compassion for yourself. Life can be so challenging. And during those tough times, when life is not so kind, or it feels like it's challenging, or you're bleeding, or you're crying, or it hurts, it's okay. Love yourself and tell yourself it's okay. You will heal. I love you. Have compassion for yourself. The more you do that, the more you know that mistakes happen. You will not be judged for it. Don't judge yourself. Don't worry about others judging. Have you heard that expression? What other people think of me is none of my business. They just need to have compassion for themselves and worry about themselves. You worry about you. Barriers to compassion, barriers to loving self, showing up compassionately for self, which affects how we show up for others. Barriers are being in survival mode and If you feel like you always have to keep doing to survive, I have to survive, I have to do this to survive. Rather than, oh, I'm doing this, I'm living and enjoying my life, or I'm living and this is a challenging time, but I'm going to get through it. I'm alive, I'm going to do this. Like, they're two different ways of being, right? Survival can feel like drudgery, or you can carry around fear, or there's always anxiety, or something to be look out for, being hyper vigilant. Some of us go through life that way. I have done that. It does not feel good, and I had to identify it and release it. And by doing that, I showed up compassionately for myself. And some of you, my friends and loved ones, I know you've seen I've shown up more compassionately for you too. It was something I had to learn. I had to soften up that tough skin and realize I'm not just surviving, I'm living, no matter what shows up in the world. Being in survival mode, having hurt and pain and anger constantly. Yeah, sometimes we hurt, sometimes we bleed, sometimes we have pain and we have to work on it and heal it up. And sometimes life circumstances or people will anger me, will anger you. If you find yourself in hurting, painful anger mode every day, being out in the world, if that's your default feeling, I encourage you to figure out what that is. Why are you feeling that way? What in your past happened? Are you still holding on to some things that have passed? They've been long gone and there's nothing you can do about it. Or did something happen recently you haven't shaken? Or do you feel like life is against you? I understand life isn't always the easiest. But when you get through that tough time and you realize that I'm still here, you're still here, how might I bring joy into my life? When you ask that question and you seek the answer, you'll find the answer. You deserve that. Love yourself. Be gentle enough to know that you deserve a gentle life. You deserve joy, pain-free life. You deserve a life full of no judgment, more love. You deserve it. A pain-free, healthy life. You deserve it. Love yourself. Release shame and blame, guilt and judgment. It's not yours. It's not mine. Follow the yellow brick road to love, joy, peace, acceptance, reflection, compassion. As much as possible, see yourself in others. If you see something that you really love about someone, wow, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Learn from it. If you see something you don't like in others, learn from it and appreciate it. And I'm all for boundaries. You know, you don't have to say yes to everyone. You don't have to. Saying no with a hug or saying no with a prayer and releasing with goodwill is just fine. And you can say, if sometimes someone approaches you for something and it's hard to say no, you don't want to feel guilty, you don't want to turn them down. Sometimes you can't say no. You can say, I understand that you want this from me and you might feel like I'm rejecting you or I don't love you, but I assure you, I love you. I understand. I can't do this for you right now, but I do love you. And then that's it. Compassion shows up even when you say no. So this lesson, the fifth word of the day, compassion, is really, in order to move forward in business affairs, to build wealth and improve and increase and maintain health, improving relationships and rearranging the environment to suit your highest and greatest good, it starts with self-reflection, loving yourself, having compassion in yourself, showing up compassionately so that others feel your love and joy and they feel supported with you, even if you don't do anything but just show up to listen. And that's what compassion is to me. So going back to those questions, compassion, what is it? That was my definition and a little expression for me, from me. What is compassion? When is it needed? When do you use it or tap into it? Was there a time you needed someone's compassion and didn't receive it? Maybe they couldn't show up and maybe they didn't love themselves, and we still have to tap into compassion even if someone isn't kind to us, and that isn't always easy to do. Was there a time when you didn't show up compassionately for someone? It's okay. Forgive yourself, love yourself, and know that when you know better, you do better. Our lovely sister Maya Angelou said that when you know better, you do better. And then one more thing before I say good night is ask yourself, what stories are you telling yourself about yourself? Are you telling, stories that are soft and kind and understanding? Are you telling stories that are hard and kind of brutal and criticize yourself? Look at yourself. Look at your self thoughts about yourself and realize what you're saying, improve it if it needs to be improved, and embrace it and do more. If you're doing all right, I think you're doing all right, and you can do even better. So that's it. Compassion. Compassion is our fit word of the day. I love you. Have a good night. This video is a little later because I had such a busy, wonderful day today. Very productive. I talked to many people and I engaged in many activities and I dealt with some traumatic situations and things. So I do have some phone calls to check on someone I love. But enjoy this night and I will see you tomorrow. Good night.